Hello. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to do kind of like a thorough review of Girls Trip that I saw yesterday at the movie theater in Burbank, and it was so awesome. I have about 30 minutes, so hopefully I can get all of my topics I'm going to cover done within those 30 minutes. I am actually on campus at my school, so in case you guys wondering, like, where are you? Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. So first of all, I went to go see the movie yesterday in Burbank, California. For you guys don't know, that is a part of LA. I think it's like they call it the Valley out here in California. It's a little kind of hot out here, so I am a little sweaty, but I'm gonna knock it out the park. I saw it in Burbank, and it was a nice theater. They have about three different theaters in Burbank, downtown Burbank. And so when I was trying to find my the theater to go purchase my tickets, it's like I ended up we wanted to go to theater AMC 6, and turns out they have three different theaters. They have the 16, the 8, and the 6. And we went to, I think, the 16 at first, then we went to the 8. And it's just like, okay, where is the 6? So the 6 was just pretty much right down the street on First Street. But we found it. I did go with my partner. It was great. I mean, they say it's like a chick flick or whatever for women so that women can go and hang out with their girls and go watch it. But for me, I went with my partner and we had a great time. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to give y'all at the end how many stars I give it. But let me go ahead and cover some points. I do have some points that I do want to address in this video regarding Girls Trip. Um, Let me see, can I remember everyone's name? So we have Queen Latifah, we have Jada Pickett, we have Regina, we have uh, Tiffany Haddish, which I didn't at the time before when I saw the movie, I didn't necessarily know who she was, but I was reminded when I was watching her what other movies she played in. Tiffany Haddish also played in um, Janky Promoters. If you guys don't remember, she was the guy that was trying to sleep with Jeezy and trying to get pregnant in that movie. It was so funny. It was a hilarious movie, but she did play in that movie. Um, what else did she play in? She played in quite a few things, and a lot of people didn't really know who she was. And I didn't really know who she was until I watched it, and my partner told me, it was like, she played in that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew she looked so familiar. She also has a role in the Carmichael show with NBC, and I've been to that show. I actually was part of the audience on that show, and I was so exciting. So Tiffany Haddish, she's a budding actor, I guess you can say, from South LA. So she's from the area. Ooh, what is that? She's from the area. I retwisted my hair, you guys, last night, so sorry about the little flakes, gel flakes. But and she's a stand-up comedian, and I love me some stand-up comedy. Like, she is just the bomb. So here we go. Okay, so first of all, the movie starts off with these women. They kind of telling like their background stories about who they are and their background, kind of leading up to the point in the movie where the movie starts. Pretty much all of them went to FAMU. They graduated from a HBCU called FAMU. You guys don't know what that is. It's in Florida. It stands for Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. It is an historically black college and university, as they refer to it as a HBCU. So it's primarily African American students who attend there. And I guess the powerful thing with the movie opening with um, their story and being that they were, graduates of an HBCU, that was just so empowering for me to see. I mean, I didn't graduate from an HBCU. I actually graduated from Florida State University, which is not that far from FAMU in Tallahassee, because Tallahassee is pretty much a smaller city, like a small town city. So it's not that big. So the schools aren't really that far apart. But Florida State does have its own area, and it's pretty large. FAMU is a decent sized campus too. It's a nice, beautiful campus. I've been there several times. I've had friends who attended FAMU. I have family who graduated from FAMU, so like I know a lot about FAMU and the history around the university and just the culture of the university. That's like the most important thing. And so it's very rich in culture. Um, it being a predominantly African American university, It's just great. It's so empowering. So the movie opened off with that, and the girls graduated in the mid, I think, 90s. So it kind of started off like it kind of took you back a little bit to kind of show you like, kind of give you like a historical background of the characters, leading up to the point where we see them in the movie. And they graduated like in the mid 90s. I graduated in 2006, so it's probably about 10 years after the characters in the movie graduated. And it's just interesting, just that right there, it sucked me in. So, writer director, awesome job with the opening of the movie, because it definitely allowed me to develop a connection with the characters, because I mean, I didn't graduate from HBCU, but I'm a college graduate, and I think a lot of people can identify, especially African American, can identify with just being a graduate of a college, or a university. So that's just so empowering. And then for them to be like all black women, you guys just don't know how empowering that is. So I just have to kind of start with that. They were successful. I mean, they covered, their stories. They kind of went through each character's story in the beginning, and, talked about how Queen Latifah, she had her own website. She was doing journalism because she had a degree in journalism from FAMU, and she started her own kind of blog website, which is kind of popular nowadays when you think about it. I mean, back then, I don't know how popular blogs were. I don't even know if the internet was that big in the 90s. So she graduated. I mean, they graduated around the mid 90s, but I don't know if that quite, I don't know if that quite intersects with technology and what was in the story and how they kind of, I don't know if that lines up. But yeah, pretty much after graduation, the Queen Latifah and who was it, Regina, started, and please correct me guys if I'm getting her name wrong, but I believe that's her name. They started a business. Basically, it was an online website, and I don't want to give you guys too much of the story, but um sorry you guys, this is a spoiler. Sorry. But Regina and Queen Latifah, when they graduated from college, they had started a website together, and that was their dream, to kind of like collaborate and become partners, and go into business together and start this blog. And they had, very high hopes and ambitions. And Regina found this man and got married. And you guys know that's like the typical story, of not just black women, but women in general. You know how we do. We find love, we get married, and what happens? We forget about our friends and move on. And that's kind of what happened. So she left Queen Latifah with the business to take care of herself. And Regina kind of branched off and did her own thing and became successful in her own right by becoming an author, best-selling author at that. And that's basically what took them to the Essence Festival, because she was a presenter at the Essence. Regina was a presenter at the Essence Festival where she was signing copies of her book. So yeah, she was a speaker, and you guys have to see how that kind of comes into play like towards the end of the movie. It's just the writer did, I think, a great job. There could have been some, little holes in the plot, like I was saying, in terms of the technology and how they created this website. But back in the day, like blogging, I mean, blogging is really popular now. A lot of people are turning to blogs, and becoming journalists, like online, kind of starting their own website type of thing, and they're making a living off of it. And that's pretty much what Queen Latifah, she did in the movie. And just to see, like, their space or living space, like she had a beautiful space that she was living in. It's just nice to see successful black women on screen, black men and women. So okay, moving along. Like I said, this is a spoiler. Sorry, you guys, but there is some cheating going on in the movie, where Regina's husband cheats on her. He's having an affair with an Instagram model, you guys. And this to me is so hilarious because, that's kind of like the trending thing now, where a lot of women, and it's nothing wrong, I think, with women accentuating their beauty and taking pride in themselves and becoming Instagram models. I actually like it. I'm not really on Instagram. My place is kind of like in Facebook, so that's where I am. My following is that, but I do have an Instagram account for a few of my business accounts, and um, I've seen some of the photos of women posting on there, and everybody think that they're cute when they can add filters and take a picture in a certain position with the sun hitting them a certain kind of way. It's like we all, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's kind of vanity," with people just standing up taking selfies and taking pictures of themselves and posting on Instagram. But I'm like, I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we want people to take pride in who they are and themselves. And I think for a lot of women who maybe didn't feel as confident about themselves, having a platform where they can kind of show off their beauty and accentuate different features of their body or whatever, and get views and likes and get support and get people to compliment them, there's nothing wrong with that. So I have nothing against Instagram models, so to speak. But in the movie, there was an Instagram model, and basically she was the cause of Regina and her husband's divorce. That's all I'm going to say with that. It was, it's funny. It's funny. This movie is funny in so many ways, even though it's so real and it has so much truth in it and authenticity. It's like, it's so funny, and they find ways to kind of make fun out of even the most difficult and tough situation in the movie. Like, you think the worst that anybody can go through. It's like they learn, like women. It just goes to show the strength, I think, of African American women and how we know how to find our strength even during the toughest times in our life. And no matter what we're going through, oh my gosh, those characters bring so much to the movie. And I think Tiffany Haddish, who's from South Central LA, she's getting a lot of attention, a lot of accolade for her role in the movie because she delivered. Not only that, I mean, it's one thing for a person to be an actor and actress and to do their job and perform, but it's another thing when you have a background. I mean, you have a personal story yourself that you've been through. You have a frame of reference. You have life experiences that you can pull from to help you with your performance and your delivery. And that's exactly what Haddish she brought to her role. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, she's the character in the movie, basically the very outspoken one. A lot of people may say that she was like off the chain or ratchet, but yeah, she was the one in the airport saying how she had some marijuana hidden in her butthole and all of that kind of jazz. But yeah, her character was hilarious. And you guys, I actually followed up after watching the movie. I followed up and kind of Googled her a little bit, Tiffany Haddish, and learned, about her story. She does have a recent interview on The Breakfast Club, that's hosted by Charlemagne and Charlemagne the God, Angela Yee, and DJ Envy. So you guys can go check that out on their page on YouTube. They did interview her, and she did an awesome job in that interview. I mean, you guys, I cried several times during her interview on the Breakfast Club. So just Google Tiffany Haddish Breakfast Club. Watch that interview after you guys watch this, and trust me, she's going to touch your heart in a very special way. And just made me appreciate her role in the movie that much more. Like I said, the movie was funny in so many ways. Funny, funny, funny. Couldn't be more funnier, put it that way. Like, I've seen funny movies. You got, like, people are kind of comparing this movie to, like, The Hangover. Because it's just, follows the story of a group of black young women, friends, who just go off on a trip and they have fun. And you kind of get to hear their stories and see their pain and, see, their strength. And oh my gosh, it's just amazing. It's funny, funny, funny. So many funny moments in that movie. I don't even think it gives you a chance to get a break to even catch a breath. And before you know it, you're laughing again. Trust me, you guys, it is that funny. Not over exaggerating. That movie is that funny. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that it has an all black female cast. I know I already mentioned it before, but I must emphasize the importance of having black actors in major film productions. It is so important because you know the issue in Hollywood where a lot of Hollywood movies are getting whitewashed. You're not really seeing that many African American black actors in their movies, and if it is, it's like looking at the kind of roles they give us. It's like a gangster role or a maid or a servant, or not a role that you can kind of feel esteemed with, if you were the actor playing that role. So this movie, I think the characters really felt comfortable in their roles, and it's not degrading. I mean, yes, people can say, okay, they kind of act certain ways, like this typical ratchetness, so to speak, but it's all for the name of entertainment to kind of make you laugh, to kind of connect with the African American culture, because that's just how you connect with the audience. You know, you use, as they call them, colloquialisms that African Americans typically use, and that's something that the audience can identify with or whatever. So it's just amazing. Like, these characters are very strong black women in this movie, and it represents. I wouldn't say it represents every black woman, but I think every black woman can see a piece of themselves, at least in one of the characters in the movie. I'm pretty sure black women, go see the movie and see if you can find a piece of yourself in one of the characters in the movie. I promise you will be able to. It's very, very hilarious. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is this whole idea of friend versus husband. And I think it's typical in a lot of friendships where friends find themselves, you know, I mean, it happens. I mean, we're human, right? So at some point in your life, you're going to fall in love, you're going to move on. That's what people do. They fall in love, they get married, they create their own families. It's okay. But we have the issue sometimes where it's like, who came first, the friend or the husband, or who should be put first? And in this movie, obviously, the friends were there first before the husband came into the picture. But the friends at some point did feel abandoned, you know, by Regina, and the fact that she kind of pretty much put them on the back burner and was like all up into her husband, and come to find out her husband is having an affair. And so what happens, you know, when the girl found out that her husband is cheating, and what she do, she run back to her friends, right? And her friends like, damn, you wouldn't think about us, you know, when you was all up under him, all up on this own stuff. So it's like you have that whole kind of animosity. And then especially with the other women being single in the movie, those women were single. It was only one black woman, one character in the movie who was married, and that was Regina. The rest of them were single. So I think it does kind of, it is an accurate reflection of the reality I think the African American women are facing. The movie spoke to the reality of the current state that we're in so many different ways. That's why it makes the movie so relatable, because it's like, it's not just some idea that popped up into the writer's mind and say, all right, well, let's just put this. Sometimes you get movies like that and you're like, this is not us, this is not how we are or whatever, but they hit that shit right on the nail. And it's like, it's so typical. It's a typical story, I think, but it's like you'll get a lot of surprises too. It's not predictable in any way. um of course, unless you already saw my video and you go watch it, then you're going to know what's going to happen. But outside of that, I mean, it's not really predictable, so you don't really necessarily know what's going to happen next. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat. And when I was watching, another thing, I felt like I was actually there. And I'm looking in the sky at these airplanes. I'm like, this isn't close to the airport, or is it? But yeah, I'm looking at, you know, I'm what the hell was I saying? I lost my train of thought, you guys. But yeah, I just love the movie. I mean, it hit the nail right on the head. Accurate reflection of, you know, African American women and some of the struggles that we go through, you know, even in the context of friendships. It's real. Okay, moving on along, because I only have 20 more minutes before my class starts, and I do want to finish this video all in one piece. So the next piece I want to talk about is the fact that it took place in New Orleans at the Essence Festival. And yes, it did. When you guys watch it, if you guys ever been to the Essence Festival in New Orleans, I've never been, but I've heard a lot about it, and I heard it's a magnificent event. It attracts a lot of people, thousands, if not a million. Like, it attracts a lot of people there. A lot of people show up. There are a lot of parties, events around the Essence Festival, and the whole purpose is kind of appreciate. And I'm glad in the movie, you guys just don't know, I'm glad that they emphasized what the purpose was of the Essence Festival, because a lot of people, I mean, we know that Essence has a magazine, right? We know about the Essence magazine. There was an Essence bestsellers list for authors, especially African American authors, you know, who write African American fiction. I don't think that it exists anymore, but there was Essence bestsellers list that a lot it gave a lot of African American authors recognition because we have the New York Times, but the New York Times doesn't really highlight works of African American authors. That's not really their focus, and we shouldn't expect them to highlight our work. So I think that's where we have lists like the Essence bestsellers list, but I don't think it exists anymore. But they do still have the magazine, and then they have this annual festival, and I think it's in the perfect place. I've never been to New Orleans, but what I know about New Orleans is that it has a lot of rich culture in it, and I think a huge African American population, which I absolutely love because I don't know, I just love my race. I love being black, and I just like cities that are highly um, infused with African Americans and blacks. I just like seeing us. So it takes place, in New Orleans, and oh my gosh, the culture down there, it just looks like a place you want to go to. It looks like the movie almost was like a ad or a marketing ad for the Essence Festival. When you're watching the movie, you kind of want to maybe go check out New Orleans and see what it's like because it was really nice to see. And I'm like, I gotta go check out New Orleans and, maybe go to the Essence Festival 2018. I think I will be there. I've been kind of putting it off for the longest, but I'm like, I need to go to the Essence Festival because it looked like it is so lit. It looked like it's so lit. So yes, it does take place at an actual Essence Festival. What year? It looks like because I'm looking at a lot of the artists who were performing on stage because part of in the movie they were at the Essence Festival and they went to some concerts and they did have some real artists performing on stage, and I want to say that was it I want to say 2017, but I don't know, it could have been 2016. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. You can always comment below and correct me. I have no problem with that. Let me know what year was the Essence Festival for you guys who are keeping up with that. But I mean, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. This movie. I have so much positive things to say. But speaking of positivity, I will kind of go off on a little bit tangent to kind of talk about subliminal messages. And you guys know I don't know, that's just who I am. I'm kind of more of an analytical person. You guys know I study psychology, I study people, so I'm always kind of looking for the message behind the message in a way, and trying to analyze different things. And that's just how my mind works when I'm watching. So it's funny though, because I got through the majority of the movie before my mind even began to think subliminal messages. And usually when I'm watching anything or doing anything, my mind automatically kind of goes into the analytical mode and start thinking of what's the story behind the story and what message are they really trying to get across. And I usually do that with every movie, everything that I watch. But with this movie, even if I wanted to, my mind just couldn't go there because it was so entertaining. Like what was on screen in front of me was so entertaining. The storyline, oh my gosh, the characters who drove the storyline, just everything about it, it kept my focus to the point where it's like if there were subliminal messages um, in the beginning of the movie, I missed them. I totally did. But towards the end, I did catch one, you guys. I caught one. I caught one. And it was pretty much surrounding Regina's divorce, with her husband and that whole affair situation. And basically, I guess looking at the movie as a whole, this is kind of the subliminal message that I took from it. And you guys know I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. It's not so much a race thing, because you guys know I kind of touch a lot on race. That's my specialty. You guys don't know, like, I specialize in social justice and race issues, so race is very salient to me. But this subliminal message is not surrounding race, but it is surrounding the idea of I don't know. I wanna just come right out and say it. I wanna just come right out and say it, but it's kind of hard to put in words because it's different points of view on this. But for me, it stood out, and definitely in the end, when all of the women were in the bed together, that's how the movie kind of closes. These women, okay, these women are all in the bed together. Four women laying in the bed together. Follow this. Obviously, this is at the end, so it happens after Regina's divorce. She separated from her husband. It got pretty much got outed to the public that they he was having an affair. So it was no longer a secret. Everybody knew. It's all on the news. And this is all in the movie, of course, that this happened. And the end of the movie is with four women laying in the bed together and her leaving her husband. I want you guys to read into that and tell me what you guys think. But for me, and looking at the social context in which we live, and we know everything happens in a social context. So it's not just like, oh, it's some random ending. Okay, this is what happens in the movie. This is no. All of this is has a meaning and it serves a purpose. And I think there was a specific purpose in having the movie end with her separating from her husband and then kind of basically relying and falling back on the shoulders of her friends. Sisterhood. And I love it and it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with sisterhood. Please don't get me wrong. I want you guys to get the wrong message about what I am referring to, what I mean, by, this whole idea of sisterhood and sticking together. I'm all for that. But I do, for me, I don't know. I'm a different woman. And I think in terms of community, I think in terms of family. And to build a community, we must build healthy families. And to build healthy families, we must have healthy couples, men and women, who are together. And we just know that there is an agenda. I think there is an agenda. I mean, of course, people have the right to choose if they want to be with a woman or be with a man. And also, a lot of homosexuals report that they kind of knew that they were going to be this way from birth. So it can be genetic. Homosexuality can be genetic. I'm not discounting the fact that it can be genetic or environmental or just choice. However, I do know that there is an agenda and that within the African American community, there is a divide when it comes to men and women and couples and families. The black family is breaking apart. And so, me coming from that perspective and seeing the ending is like, and also with me, I guess, being in a relationship, so that does influence, my review and my perspective in this. And I think this is a very serious issue, and that's why I'm taking my time with this because I just want to make sure that I get my point across correctly. But given that context and given that I am in a relationship, it's like I kind of speak from that perspective, and I heavily value couple relationships, romantic relationships, marriage, and the family unit. I value that. And so to see that kind of break apart and with as much success as she has, and this is a beautiful man himself, beautiful black man, beautiful black woman, is just like, come on, dude. You really had to end and fuck up. And it happens like that, you guys. It's sad to say, but it's really an accurate depiction of real life because it happens that way where somebody does something dumb. You have a beautiful couple together. I mean, beautiful, make beautiful kids. And in this movie, they didn't have any kids, so no kids were involved. Thank God. It ain't that kind of movie, but and this movie is like, I mean, in real life, you have kids involved, and then somebody does something stupid, and what do you know? No more family. It's like the black family is just no more. And although they weren't at that point of family, it kind of speaks to that in a way that, goddamn, it's like everything is going well, and here we are, you got a beautiful black woman, beautiful black man. There's potential there. That's my point, you guys. There's potential, for a beautiful black family to evolve from that. And then a mistake is what kills it. It's like lust and him chasing after a booty or Instagram model, just to totally destroy that. So, and in the end, it's like, okay, you have your girls to depend on. So you guys can kind of take from that what you want to take from it. But that was my subliminal message in that part. It's like, okay, subliminal message. You guys have to watch it to see, but it kind of gives women a sense of, okay, women power, men versus women type of thing. And before you know it, it's like, it's all women just dating women and men dating men. And we got this, men versus women conflict going on. And I don't know. I don't agree with that. So my overall rating, because I have 10 more minutes before I go to class. My overall rating of the movie, I would have to give it 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, when I say the photography, the cinematography, the everything, the colors, and I think colors, oh my gosh, make a movie. Like, especially when you're talking about black people, we need color in a movie. I'm talking about bright colors, like all different kinds of colors that strike, different emotions in people and just set the mood of a film. It's important. And that movie had it. That movie had the right pacing. Oh my gosh, the right comedic element in it, the right actors. Like sometimes, you have movies they kind of throw together actors and make them to be friends, and you can kind of tell they're not really friends in real life. This movie, those actors had you believe they were friends in real life. You believed every bit of it. And that's why I say, like, watching that movie, I felt like I was there with them. It pulls you in and makes you a kind of a spectator of their experience. And you almost feel like you are a fly on the wall, kind of watching them go through life, which is always interesting to be that fly on the wall, just watching, right? That's like the mystique of, filmmaking and just that experience of kind of being an objective, spectator of what's happening on the screen. The screen is so interesting, I think, and I want you guys to kind of share your thoughts, your opinions. I mean, how did you like the movie? I loved it. 5 stars, Steph, no question about it. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 perfect stars, a perfect 10, perfect 100, just perfect all the way around. I hope that it sells out in the box office. I hope that the numbers shoot all the way up and outdo any other film that's out right now in the box office, because we need our stories told. This is the African American woman story. A lot of African American women go through this. A lot of African American women are pursuing higher education, and it kind of speaks to that and the struggles that we face. It's like this. There is a phenomenon, that has been around for a while now, but it's basically, the idea that the higher a black woman excels in corporate America, the more difficult it is for her to get married. So that can be another subliminal message taken from this, is that, yeah, you can be educated, you be successful, but is your ass gonna be with are you gonna have a man? In the end of the day, will you have excuse my accent, y'all. I'm from the South, and I like to hear my accent come out sometimes or whatever, because that's just me. But I'm in California now, and I'm loving it. And I kind of consider this the South. It feels Southern to me. It has a Southern hospitality feel to it. But, it's like, yeah, you can be educated, but do you got a man? And I think, with some African American men who kind of take advantage of that, I think. And I don't know. I got a lot to say on this issue. We don't get it. It's like, not to say in other cultures they don't have their issues, and divorce is not common in their household as well, in their relationships. But come on, y'all, we got to get it. We have to get that it's important. The black family unit is the most important thing on earth. Hello. Couples and relationships and marriage is the most important thing on earth. We can have all the degrees in the world, all the success, all the money in the bank. A lot of us got money in the bank, so money is not a problem. But when it comes down to intimacy, love, marriage, do we got that? A lot of us know we unmarried. We don't have, we're just not where we want to be, and that movie kind of speaks to that. Me, I'm unmarried. I don't have any kids, but I do have a partner, and I think I was kind of, I heard to wrap this up, but I was kind of speaking to the point that a lot of men kind of take advantage of that, which it irritates me, because it's like, it's this idea that, oh, like a woman, is trying to get a man. It's like God's gift to the world, to find a husband. And so men know that, and knowing that it's like 10 women to one man nowadays, right? Men take advantage of that. And I think that's a prime example in the movie. It shows that, yeah, Men take advantage of that and they sleep with whoever they feel that they want to because they got more access to women. More women are making themselves available to men and they're kind of exploiting themselves and putting themselves that they don't care about or if a man is married, if he got a girlfriend, he's with somebody. A lot of women don't care. They'll still go sleep with a man. So it's like no kind of respect for fidelity and marriage and the family unit on all aspects of it. It's just no respect, coming from all sides. And I think that's something that we need to work on, and that's something that I am definitely going to address in future videos to come. I did make a previous video. You guys can go back and watch that, and I think it's in my relationships and dating playlist where I kind of talk about the 4 predictors of relationship breakup and kind of signs that basically 4 signs that you can tell when a relationship is going to break up and kind of I give you guys some tips on ways to not only identify those signs when you know your relationship is kind of headed in the wrong direction, but tips you can do to kind of bring it back together, you guys. Because if you know you fell in love with a person and you know that's why you with a person, and if as black people we see the bigger picture, not only it's not just happening on this level where okay you find somebody you in love, so all right it stops there. It's like no, you guys, it's a bigger picture than this. You don't understand that the more married African American households you have, that definitely has an impact on whether or not children become successful, whether or not we even have access to we complain about all these access to resources and stuff like that, but we can't even pull together ourselves within our own community, starting with our own household. You get what I'm saying? So it does start with us. We got to start pointing the finger. And this movie kind of speaks to the greater issues of the black community too. I mean, you can see in the microcosm level of these women experiences and what they go through, kind of like in dating and on a personal level, but it gives us a kind of foreshadow, a kind of peek into the greater macrocosm of things and what's happening in our in real life, in real society. So it's just a breath of fresh air, I must say, and just that's my words for it. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a movie that we've been waiting on for the longest. It's like, when do you get an all black chick movie? You don't get that kind of. I mean, they have the brothers. You guys remember that movie with all the 4 men, the 4 black men, but we don't get movies like that where it's like all black women and just women who are successful and working and just kind of reflect our stories. It told our story, and I appreciate that. I thank the directors, the producers, I thank everyone who was involved in this movie for just putting your best foot forward and making it what it was, because thank you guys, we needed that and I enjoyed myself. I don't know how long, I forget how long the movie was. Let me see, can I pull up my ticket stub? How long the movie was, but it was long enough for me to definitely enjoy it, and I wasn't paying attention to the time. And sometimes, you get sitting in movie theaters, you checking your phone, checking the time. I wasn't checking the time. I enjoyed it, and I even enjoyed it so much I'm about to go back and see it again. But I was trying to see if the time limit is on here, but it's not. How long the movie is, but however long the movie is, just trust me, it's definitely worth it, and I encourage you guys to try to go see it. I know ticket prices in movie theaters are going up astronomically, but just do your best to try to go see that movie. Sometimes you can get student discounts where you don't have to pay as much as the standard ticket price, so there are ways that you can go see it in the theater. Not bootleg. I see a lot of links being passed around on social media saying this is how you can watch it for free. Don't bootleg it. Go see the movie, you guys. Go see it. Thanks for watching.